the late 19th century, New Orleans was a melting pot of musical influences. Enter Charles Buddy Bolden,
Mama, this is Mr. Charles Bolden,
a cornetist born in 1877, who dared to blend these sounds into something entirely new. His ability to infuse blues into ragtime, creating a more improvisational and expressive form, set him apart as a true innovator. He was the king of New Orleans, the father of jazz, the man whose sound can make a whole city move. And yet, most people today do not even know his name. Why? Buddy Bolden was a revolutionary, but his life is also a cautionary tale. And today we are going to dive deep into the movie Bolden, which showcases the life of Buddy Bolden from his rise to his fall. And we will look at the lessons that every musician needs to learn from his story. This is why Buddy Bolden was different. This man didn't just play music, he made people feel different. Look at the swagger, look at the energy, the confidence. This was a time that music was tightly structured like classical music. But Buddy Bolden wanted to try something new. Buddy brought the blues, the soul, the swing. He was the first to say, let's loosen this up, let's play with feeling. And that's what jazz was all about. Imagine being ahead of your time, that you invent a whole genre. There were no recordings of him, but people heard him play, said his sound was so strong, you can hear him across the whole town.
You play horn louder than the day is long, even in the hot sun. You got women dropping to your feet hoping to carry your horn.
And there was a scene in the movie where he sat on top of a roof and played his cornet. And the way it echoed through the town, it was a beautiful scene. Buddy Bolden was a band leader. He knew how to coordinate his band members. He knew how to move the crowd. When Buddy Bolden played, you could literally see the ladies opening up for him. Lessons for musicians. If you want to stand out, don't just play notes, play with feelings. Know how to engage the crowd. And don't be afraid to innovate. Like Buddy Bolden did. There was a scene in the movie where Buddy Bolden was a kid. He was lying under a table in a tailor shop where the ladies were sewing clothes. And the way the sewing machines were operating, the sound that they were making, it was like music to him. That was a beautiful thing. And this teaches us that as musicians, we can get rhythms from our daily activities. So be attentive, make sure you listen. And Buddy Bolden was also the ladies' man. The guy was always smashing whenever he's on the road. You know what I'm talking about. Because whenever he plays at the club, the ladies are all over him. They are just looking at him seductively. But I would advise you to take that path, because I believe that is one of the downfalls of Buddy Bolden. And here's where the tragedy starts. The fame, pressure, vices, it all starts eating him up. Buddy Bolden was a genius, but he was also a human. He partied hard, drank a lot of alcohol, substance abuse, which the movie showcases very well. And over time, his mind started to slip. You can see it in this scene. The paranoia, the exhaustion, the self-destruction. It wasn't just about the music anymore. It was about surviving the fame. But the body started messing up during performances. He would lose his cool and start fighting the audience. The mind was slipping away, and due to that, he was institutionalized. They sent him into a mental hospital, and he was only 30 years by that time. His career was cut short, and unfortunately, he had no recording on tape. The only record they had, according to the movie, was taken away and was never seen. Buddy Bolden spent the rest of his life in the mental hospital. He died 24 years later in the mental asylum. Lesson for musicians: make sure you take care of your mental health and your physical health. Without those, your music comes to a halt. Musicians should be disciplined, stay away from substance abuse and excessive alcohol intake, and limit the smashing of the ladies too. Louis Armstrong, one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time. grew up hearing the stories of Buddy Bolden, and in the movie he was played by this actor.
He said, who's the king? Buddy Bolden. He said, King Buddy Bolden.
Even though there were no recordings of him, his influence is in every note that we hear whenever there's a jazz playing. He never got the fame that he deserved, never got to his peak, but his sound inspired many generations of jazz players. Lessons for musicians. Your music can outlive you, so pour in much spirit as possible. Influence people around you. If possible, record something. We are in the age of the internet. Let your creativity shine. One day someone will pick up your recording and you will be an inspiration for the next generation. Why musicians need to know this story? Buddy Bolden's life is a reminder to all of us that music can be beautiful, powerful, and dangerous all at once.
He said, King Buddy Bolden. The first king of New Orleans music.
He was a king, but he was also a man who lost his way along the line. I recommend all musicians to watch Bolden, and these are the lessons that you can take home. 1. Innovate, don't imitate. Create something new. 2. Protect your mind and body. Music is a marathon, not a sprint. And most importantly, your legacy is not all about fame, but the impact you have on society and generations to come. Buddy Bolden's name might have been forgotten by many, but his music is in the soul of jazz forever. What do you think? Could Buddy Bolden would have been bigger than Armstrong if things turned out to be different? Let me know in the comment section. Share your thoughts, and you can watch the movie and come back and share what you also learned which wasn't covered here. Watch this video next.